What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Tuesday. Glad to have everybody along streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Talking Titans this morning as two major problems are crushing this team at the worst possible time. 3 games left in the regular season for the Tennessee Titans, and they still need to lock up the AFC South, and it's going to get a lot harder to do it as these two problems are really inhibiting the Titans from winning a football game. So we'll react more to the Titans losing out to the LA Chargers 17-14 on Sunday in LA, getting ready for a big matchup, a must-win game for the Titans, in my opinion, against the Houston Texans on Saturday, which is Christmas Eve. A ton of topics to get to throughout this week, but we're going to start off with what we've got going on with Mike Vrabel talking about the health of his football team, and I'm curious to see what people think about this topic because I know a lot of people are calling for the firing of the strength and conditioning staff. So we'll discuss that there too. Then we'll talk about what's a bigger problem for the Titans. We've got one or two of these major problems we'll discuss. Then Mike Vrabel took responsibility for every play call that goes out for the Tennessee Titans coaching staff, and we'll talk about buying or selling that. Before we get to our Tuesday sports trivia, Zach, on this Tuesday, welcome in. Gonna have a good show.
Yeah, broadcasting live on 3 different platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We got you covered there. We'll tweet out segment by segment our YouTube links on our Twitter feed at A to Z Sports. So follow us on Twitter at A to Z Sports. You got 20+ thousand strong there. We got 10+ thousand strong on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you have, go ahead and like this video. That will help the algorithm circle around that we don't even really know what the algorithm is. It's a guessing game. But we do know that if you like the video, it could help. And we're trying to get more Titans fans involved. And how we do that is you guys share the show on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube. If you are watching on Facebook, you're a real OG. From day one, we got close to 100,000 over there. Go ahead and like this video and share the show. Bottom left corner of your screen. Sharing out of public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing on this show. So share the show around, and we need to pop up in your Facebook friends news feed. How that works is you guys share the show. So let's get this party started on a Tuesday, talking about 2 major problems for the Tennessee Titans on a 4-game skid.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media as we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter timeline. Hit us up and follow us on Instagram and TikTok along the way. We got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they help out you guys like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process by going to see them in Lebanon or at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org. They are the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with your health coverage at fbhp.com/ATOZ. And Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers, the official injury lawyers of the Titans. You get a free case consultation if you've been injured in a car wreck by calling Hughes and Coleman at 800-800-4600. So the 2 big problems, major problems, is what we're calling it for the Tennessee Titans that are costing them a chance to win games and allow them to go on this 4-game losing streak, sitting at 7-7 with a very important game coming up against the Texans, then a follow-up against the Cowboys on Thursday night before New Year's, and then ending the regular season going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are surging at 6-8 now over the last few weeks. And it's going to be pretty crazy, but the Titans could allow this division to slip away. So one of these 2 major problems is the health of this football team. We're going to hear an update from Mike Vrabel, and something that we're going to touch on too is what this strength and conditioning staff for the Tennessee Titans is actually doing to make sure they can get players as healthy as possible, even though it seems like every game they play, 4 or 5 guys go down with some type of injury. Before we hear from Mike Vrabel, let's remind you, the entire yesterday's show is brought to you by Moments Peace Salon and Day Spa. So what you need to do is, as we get closer and closer to Christmas, you're getting closer to that deadline, and you might need that extra little something to to put your gift giving over the top for that person you love the most. AmomentsPeace.com/Christmas is how to do that. You're always undefeated when you go to AmomentsPeace.com/Christmas, because all you got to do is get a gift card. Let them choose what they want. There's 10 different services that A Moment's Peace has there in Cool Springs, Franklin, for them to pick from. So your part is just going to buy a gift card and let them get what they want the most. So once again, AmomentsPeace.com/Christmas is how to get a surefire win on Christmas Day with A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa right there on Carruthers in Cool Springs. So Zach, let's hear from Mike Vrabel on these injury situations. He was asked about it on his Monday press conference.
I kind of follow up on what you was asking earlier on the injury front. How much have you in the last couple of years kind of looked at everything that you guys are doing, and have you changed anything or altered anything?
Changed a lot. Yeah, we have. I mean, training camp's been different, and we track all the injuries. We check how they occur. Some guys are repeat offenders. Some injuries occur in a game. Try to limit. Try to limit the ones that occur in practice, obviously. But we were very conscious of the training camp schedule, practice schedule. Talked earlier about how we've done research on getting guys to 90% each and every week. So it's not, just once a week on Sundays, sometimes Wednesday and Thursday. Frank will walk around with the iPad, track guys and say, hey, I need to get 90%. So they'll manufacture some sort of stride so that's not just, they hit 90% on Sunday, wait a week, and then all of a sudden go out and hit 90%. So we're focusing on some of those things. And some guys are repeat offenders that, have been, showing up there more than once on some things that are maybe similar or maybe the same injury.
So there's Mike Vrabel there, and Gary just says blah, 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 as the Titans are the most injured football team for the second consecutive season.
Yeah, they're repeat offenders. The team are repeat offenders.
I know. And Frank Perino, who's the strength and conditioning coach, the head strength and conditioning coach for the Titans, talking about 90% is how can these guys get to that 90% of full speed threshold throughout the week of practice so they don't just take it easy all week and do walkthroughs, because Mike Vrabel also said they're basically doing walkthroughs, every day because they don't have enough guys to get through a full practice. So getting to 90% so they don't just go out there and pull a hamstring because they haven't gotten the 90% plus in the week. So what was your main takeaway from that from Mike Vrabel?
Well, I have two things.
Okay.
First off, I believe him. And this is, I think we have seen this firsthand of how they approach practice, how they approach training camp. Some things are unpreventable. Like that is just factual in football. So I think the first thing is I believe that he takes a look at it. I mean, he's got to diagnose this problem. It's the second straight year that this has happened. It's killing this franchise. It's killing this team. And, their 4-game losing streak, this is probably the most adversity that Mike Vrabel has been under this late in the season in a long, long time, if ever. But my second point, no one cares. I go back to that. No one cares that you're hurt. Nobody cares that you're not doing your job. Nobody cares that Dennis Daly is not very good. I mean, that's how I think that fans think about things. It's how I think a lot of companies think about things. We don't care. And I think it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow when you look around and you don't have any starters and you're constantly waiting for guys to get back. But Austin, they did that same thing last year, and they got back Derrick Henry. They got back A.J. Brown. They got back Julio Jones. They lost the football game. Mm-hmm. So, they were waiting. They were in the same mode can they get back to Nico Autry? Can they get back Christian Fulton? Can they get back Traylon Burks? I mean, over and over.
David Long Jr.
Well, the same thing happened, right?
Naming guys.
So you did that last year and didn't get the result. Now, that was based on poor play from a guy who wasn't injured, which is kind of funny, in Ryan Tannehill in that Bengals game. You don't even know if you're going to get an opportunity to be in the playoffs. I mean, it's getting down to the nitty-gritty. I mean, there's 3 games left. Texans, Cowboys, Jags. Actually, the first statement that you had on the show, I disagreed with, which was you thought the Texans is a must-win game. I don't think the Texans is a must-win game, but
I think it's must-win mentally.
But it's not a must-win game. So we can talk about that because
we'll do that later in the week. Yeah, we'll do that later.
But for what the injuries represent, it is a problem, but nobody cares. So and the hard part is, like, if you go through all of the injuries of this laundry list of injuries, I think that you're going to find the majority that have nothing to do with protocol prior to the week. I think, like, I don't think that they are all preventative. I guess that's my overall point. So, yeah. But it is a problem that you cannot deny.
Well, and I did see somebody saying, I'm trying to scroll back and find, Kevin there on YouTube says repeat offenders makes him feel like Vrabel thinks some of it is the player's fault. And Zach, we talked about this back at some point last week through our conversations about injuries that happened in practice versus injuries that happen in games. Mike Vrabel, we just played the clip saying that they're trying to cut down on the ones in practice. And, we also know about Adoree Jackson is kind of what Kevin is saying about the Titans not being happy with how Adoree Jackson really approached his rehab that one year that he was out for so long. And the injury happened in practice right there. And then Dom gives Sam some lunch money, and maybe Jack too, depending on how we want to split up that $4.99. But Dom says the Titans haven't modernized their approach to injuries or personnel choices. In his opinion, they're stuck in the past. I disagree with Dom. I think they have modernized it. The fact that the strength coach is walking around with an iPad, knowing when, what, and where, and how to get every player to their 90% threshold of full speed sounds pretty modernized to me. And they're not going through full pads and drills and all these things. That I think that they're taking a careful approach to the load management, to use the NBA term, of their players throughout, once you get into November and December.
Well, that's a fine line, right? Is like, if I didn't do this show for 3 weeks, I'd be rested. My voice would be ready to go, right?
And maybe a little rusty.
But then I'd come back and I wouldn't be in full go, right? So that's what they have to weigh. So, like, rest versus readiness. I think that is a key part of this. But I still go back to a lot of these injuries. The Treylon Burks injuries are freak injuries. The 2 sustained injuries to Treylon Burks were not his fault.
Right.
He got rolled up on, happens in football. He got knocked in the head, which should have been a fine on the Eagles' safety. That was not his fault. He was a defenseless receiver. So, like, Treylon Burks, who is a big part and was supposed to be a major part of your offense that is anemic, now is on the sidelines and has missed multiple weeks because they're probably trying to be cautious because it's a head injury, right? And they want to make sure that he is fully prepared to go when he actually returns for the important games.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the Texans game is not important. I just don't think it's a must win that you have to bring all of your guys back. Now, and look, this is the age-old term. Peyton Manning defined this very, very well when he would just dominate the regular season. And you get in the end of the season, do you rest or do you play? Do you rest? And for a lot of times, he got poked out of the playoffs, and they'd always be like, well, they should have played him. Well, then you don't want to get hurt. So it's a tough thing to juggle. I do think that Mike Vrabel is conscientious. And here's my last point.
Okay.
That what we just played was 1 minute and 17 seconds of Vrabel answering one singular question. That was the longest answer that we had all day yesterday of 20 minutes of questioning. That tells me that he's taking it seriously.
Yeah. We'll play that again here in a second. We do want to ask this question to you guys because the title of the show is what is the 2 major problems are crushing the Titans at the worst possible time. I think it's pretty clear that injuries to this defense is crushing the Titans. The other one is the offensive line. So we'll play Again, Mike Vrabel on the health and how they're managing these guys. And I've got some stats that might freak everybody out just to show you how bad Dennis Daly has been this season. But first, let me tell everybody, or Zach, you tell everybody about Farm Bureau Health Plans, who's helping you stay healthy.
Yeah, Farm Bureau Health Plans is where to go to get your new health plan. I got my new health plan at the beginning of the year, and man, I'm glad that I did. Plan on them for health, dental, and vision, 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee can hook you up with a great plan, better coverage, better rates, and better service. I've gotten all three with my new health plan, and I'm very, very fortunate that I did. I save 20% every single solitary month with Farm Bureau Health Plans. That's fbhp.com/A to Z. Take a quick health assessment, get a quote, and switch today. 200 plus locations across the state. That's Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee.
Also, download the BetMGM app. Use our code ATOZ Sports, and that unlocks a risk-free bet up to $1,000 on pro football. Zach, you know what else is unlocked? That Austin Hooper over receiving yards, because I've hit it 5 weeks in a row, baby.
What was last week's?
Last week it was 29.5. They moved it up a whole 9 yards, and he got it there right before the quarterback sneak to get the 33 yards on the game. So unlocked is Austin Hooper's over receiving yards, because I, in the BetMGM app, 5 straight weeks have hit this thing that goes back to the Green Bay Packers game. Even though the Titans have lost 4 in a row, Austin Hooper's winning me some money on the BetMGM.
I will say this. So you're winning money on Austin Hooper. We're going to take a look back and say, was Austin Hooper really, truly unlocked during the season as a whole of his full body of work?
Well, we have to.
I think we're going to get to a big fat no.
That's fine. I mean, you'll have to remember who's holding the keys to the offense, though, when it comes to Todd Downing, who should have given up keys earlier. But anyway,
I don't know.
BetMGM,
holding the keys.
Make sure you download.
They lost the keys in the couch.
He should have lost the keys after the Green Bay game. But anyway, download the BetMGM app. Use our code ATOZ Sports for risk-free bet up to $1,000 on pro football. So if you want to help me ride,
that was a good little. I actually thought about that. Couch to car. That was good.
All right. So the question we're going to ask you guys: what's a bigger problem for the Titans? This offensive line or the defensive injuries? I'm about to play you guys the clip from Mike Vrabel once again talking about the injuries. But Zach, are you ready for these Dennis Daly stats?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Okay.
Probably more ready than he is to play.
Dennis Daly has allowed 12 sacks this season. Dennis Daly has started 12 games for the Titans. Dennis Daly is tied for the NFL lead in pressures allowed in just his 12 starts, with 43 pressures in 400 pass blocking snaps. That means Dennis Daly's pass or pressures allowed percentage is 10.8. And if you know anything about 10.8, that's terrible. Aaron Brewer's pressure percentage rate is 6.4%. 6.4 is bad. Aaron Brewer has given up 6.4 pressure on 6.4% of his pass blocking snaps. That's bad. Dennis Daly is 10.8. And so Aaron Brewer's also given up 29 pressures at left guard next to Dennis Daly's 43. This offensive line is terrible.
How many snaps is Dennis Daly averaging per game? Not last game because he only played a half. But
well, I mean, if you pass protection snaps, right? He's played exactly 400 pass protection snaps. And if we count the Bills game as a game played because Lawan went down pretty early, then you can say
early. It was the first offensive snap. There is no earlier than you could get. The Bills got the ball, but the first offensive snap, it was his ACL snap.
Yeah, so that's an average of 30.7 pass protection snaps a game for Dennis Daly, and it's just been atrocious. You know, he is setting records in the worst possible way for left tackles, throughout the NFL. So he's been very bad. Aaron Brewer has not been any good either. And so the question we're going to ask, and we'll get to everybody's answers here in a second. What's a bigger problem for the Titans? The offensive line, the defensive injuries? And let's play from Mike Vrabel one more time on him talking about what the Titans are trying to do throughout the week when it comes to their injury situation.
I kind of follow up on what you was asking earlier on the injury front. How much have you in the last couple of years kind of looked at everything that you guys are doing, and have you changed anything or altered anything?
Changed a lot. Yeah, we have. I mean, training camp's been different, and we track all the injuries. We track how they occur. Some guys are repeat offenders. Some injuries occur in a game. Try to limit the ones that occur in practice, obviously. But we were very conscious of the training camp schedule, practice schedule. Talked earlier about how we've done research on getting guys to 90% each and every week. So it's not, just once a week on Sundays, sometimes Wednesday and Thursday. Frank will walk around with the iPad, track guys and say, hey, I need to get 90%. So they'll manufacture some sort of stride so that's not just, they hit 90% on Sunday, wait a week, and then all of a sudden go out and hit 90%. So we're focusing on some of those things. And some guys are repeat offenders that, have been, showing up there more than once on some things that are maybe similar or maybe the same injury.
So Mike Vrabel there on injuries, and a shorter version. They're trying when it comes to the strength and conditioning staff, but things keep happening. So let's ask this question and get to everybody's answers here now. What's a bigger problem for the Titans? The offensive line or defensive injuries? And Zach, I'll send you to the chat to see what everybody's thinking.
Well, I knew the first answer we were going to get was this. It's just not even a part of the game.
Right.
Yeah. So, Jared, we're going to eliminate that answer. Offensive line from Sure, from Elks 70. Offensive line from Timothy. O-line from Noah. Defensive injuries from Steven. Injuries from Jay Wood. So, even in a backup. Defensive injuries from David. Offensive line from Dalen. Offensive line is trashed from Joey. The O-line, without question, from Lala. Offensive line from Michael. Offensive line from Caleb. Offensive line from Karen. Offensive line from Jared after he said Downing. Offensive line, Deborah. Offensive line, Eric. Ronnie says offensive line. Defensive injuries from Grim Jim. Offensive line from Pistol. Offensive line from Jeff. Offensive line from Jason. Gary is going with coaching, which is not the question. Offensive line is everything. So overall, and there's more coming in, we've got defensive injuries from Nick and offensive line from Martin, O-line from Dave and Lewis. Steele goes with wide receivers. I think for the chat, their overall answer is offensive line. Yeah. Austin, what is your answer to this question?
I'm surprised that it's this heavy offensive line. Now, here's a REKT on YouTube says defensive injuries because the defense was winning the Titans games early on, which is true. When the Titans won 7 out of 8 games, the defense was doing a lot of good things. And the one game they lost in that stretch was taking Patrick Mahomes to overtime in Arrowhead and only allowing 20 points or 19 points for the Chiefs offense that game. So my answer is also offensive line, Zach, because I'm watching the Titans defense with Jack Gibbons, Dylan Cole, and Greg Nabin playing a lot of snaps on the defensive in the secondary at linebacker. And you see guys like DeMarcus Walker and Mario Edwards Jr. making plays, no tier tart. There's a lot of guys out there on defense that are helping, and you're seeing the defensive coaching staff try to help overcome some of those injuries. But the Titans offensive coaching staff can't overcome the inability of the left side of the offensive line. Zach, I already said Dennis Daly has given up 12 sacks this year. Aaron Brewer is credited with only 4. So that doesn't seem like a lot. The Titans quarterbacks with Ryan Tannehill and Malik Willis this year have been sacked 39 times. So that means Dennis Daly has given up over 30% of the sacks this year on Titans quarterbacks. Aaron Brewer and Dennis Daly are giving up nearly 34% combined on that left side. And, there are times when running backs get credited for sacks because of pass protection, tight ends the same way. I know Chig has given up a couple sacks, but when the left side of your offensive line has given up over 1/3 of the sacks allowed on your quarterbacks, that's a problem. And even when they're chipping and helping Dennis Daly on the left side, it's not working. They're getting beat. There are 2 plays in the last 2 games, the loss to the Jags and the loss to the Chargers. The Chargers sack when Tannehill got sacked out of field goal range in the 4th quarter, and when Walker beat Daly on the left side against the Jags, where Dennis Daly had chip help from a tight end, yet couldn't even get his hands on the edge rusher and allowed Tannehill to go down so quickly. And so I think the offensive line is holding this team back because even when they try to help them, it's not working. And then you look over on the right side, Nicholas Petit-Frere's hit that rookie wall. Nate Davis just got rolled up on from Derrick Henry in that game 2 against the Chargers, and we don't know what he's going to look like. And Ben Jones has been held together by duct tape the last 3 years. So the offensive line is this team's biggest problem because it's hurting so many other aspects of this roster.
Let me change the question for you, see if you change your answer. Instead of defensive injuries, team injuries. You can exclude offensive line injuries because that goes into the offensive line. But let's throw in Burks into this conversation. And does that change your answer?
No, I mean, the offense. But again,
I'll be honest. I thought that was the question, and then I looked at the actual question.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought we were asking until I actually read the question. But does that change your answer?
No, because I think for the most part, and I've said this a few times throughout this season, the Titans have had 80% of their planned offensive line for the majority of the year. Ben Jones went out for a couple games, but they were able to replace that, and they won some with Aaron Brewer at center and Radens at left guard. But Lawan is the one guy who has been out that has really killed him. And, you know, that one injury cannot affect the offensive line this much. The Titans have to be better at replacing one injury than they have.
Right. But that's the reason why John Robinson no longer has a job. This all stems back, and we sat there and talked about it at length when Isaiah Wilson was throwing money on strippers' asses. I mean, it's just the facts of that was going to kill them years down the road. When was he drafted?
What year? When, like, late April of 2020, 29th overall. So, you know,
it
9
only
p.m.
took
on
2
a Thursday
years.
night.
It only took 2 years to affect that major draft pick and basically getting zero out of him. Like, they didn't get 1, they didn't get 2, they didn't get a single penny. Zero. They got zero value out of Isaiah Wilson from a first-round pick. Caleb Farley is probably at a 0.3. I wouldn't give him a 0, but he ain't worth a damn. Isaiah Wilson is killing where they are now. They also missed on Radens. The reason why they had to do Radens is because they had to reach because they didn't have Isaiah Wilson. This is the Isaiah Wilson trickle-down effect. And Austin, I was trying to think of every different thing to kind of like combat and disagree and go with defensive injuries.
Okay.
But I do think it is offensive line. This is an Isaiah Wilson issue. And I know people get triggered when you say the 2 words Isaiah Wilson, but this is why they're at the place that they're at because of that atrocious draft pick. It is. Because you said right before I started speaking, what you said is Taylor Lewan's singular injury shouldn't hurt this bad. You're right. It shouldn't. If they actually had a adequate tackle to help.
And I also, man, it's so hard because we have such a small sample size on Dylan Radens playing left tackle that you honestly don't know. And we cannot, because of that small sample size, we can't judge the coaching staff yet on if it was correct to continue to play Dennis Daly over the last 2 months instead of Dylan Radens, right? Because Dylan Radens played in what, like 6?
He hadn't earned that. He didn't earn that opportunity.
Let me finish. But Well, I think there's points this season where you could point at Dennis Daly and say that he hasn't earned the opportunity to still play.
I agree.
And so
well,
Dylan
they got to that point. That's why Radens played in the first half.
It took so damn long to get to that point. I'm going to try to scroll back.
It took 3 games. It took 3 losses. That's what it took.
That's a long leash on.
I know, but look, winning overshadows a lot of things. Losing reveals the warts.
Yeah, but I think that's just being proactive.
We were all killing Radens earlier in the year. I'm not going to sit here and go back on that.
No,
he didn't earn that. Eventually, Dennis Daly played so bad they lost 3 straight games that yes, they had to make a change. But it wasn't like, we got Radens, we'll be fine.
No, we got
Radens. He hadn't been good.
It was Dylan Radens lost the right tackle job to NPF in August. That is what we were killing.
It's easier to play right tackle than left tackle. And if you can't play right tackle, why would you afford a guy an opportunity to play a more difficult position?
Well, it's because of what Dennis Daly was. Once Dennis Daly was the most obvious liability that this team had, why it took so long for Radens to get a shot is because what did we learn last week, Zach? Media has been out there for the open portions of practice the entire season. Every week, media is out there. And last week was the first time that Sam texted me and said, Radens is getting work at left tackle. And then what'd you see? Everybody in the Titans media, when they could report it, Dylan Radens getting work at left tackle.
3 straight weeks of losses. That's why.
That's too long. That's what I'm saying is that's the coaching staff's fault for waiting that long. And so I found John Glennon tweeted out the snap report, right? So Dylan Radens only played 15 snaps on offense before he got hurt. And what we know is that he graded out at like 82, 83, according to Pro Football Focus, in that limited sample size, where Dennis Daly played 47 snaps on offense and graded about a 47. And so because of that small sample size, Radens looked a lot better, but we don't know truly because that's not enough work to judge an offensive lineman on 15 snaps. But it took us, and it took the Titans coaching staff until 7-7 to even see Dylan Radens if he could be better than Dennis Daly. That's the problem, is that they waited so long. And maybe they had to wait a little bit longer to try Radens out at left tackle because of the injury to Ben Jones on the concussion, where you needed Radens at left guard. So there's a little bit of that in there that I understand for the coaching staff. But when Dennis Daly started showing his ass early in the year, once he was a month in at left tackle, and I heard, who was it? I believe it was Ramon Foster a couple weeks ago on The Zone. If it wasn't, then I apologize. Is that at that point, Dennis Daly sticks out on the scouting report and is circled for the wrong reason, right? Then you start to attack that weakness. And that's where Dennis Daly giving up, I think now 5 sacks or 6 sacks in the last 5 games. That is the problem. And it took them way too long to try Dylan Radens at left tackle. And that's on the coaching staff, in my opinion.
And the reason why the offensive line is the correct answer, the chat got it right. You got it right. I got it right. I believe your starting quarterback is hurt.
He's been hurt.
What's the sacrifice, right? Like, your sacrifice is everybody and their mother knows that Malik Willis can't lead this football team to where they need to be, that Ryan Tannehill is the best source of offensive firepower at the quarterback position that they have, because he understands, you can agree or disagree of what the offense represents, but he understands the offense. He can execute the offense. He can make the throws. He's proven in that sense. He has a lower ceiling, but he's hurt now. And so why is he hurt? I think he got re-injured because of the lack of protection. And you look at when Mac rolled up on that, I mean, his ankle went one way, his leg went the other. I mean, it was, that is If you've ever sprained your ankle and it's like, and I'll do the thumb, right? You've jammed your thumb and it takes so long to freaking heal. Like, and then boom, you jam it again and it hurts so bad. And you're like, wow, the progress that I had made over the last 3.5 weeks is now completely gone. And I can't go back to opening up doors again. Well, imagine you not jamming it again, but somebody just Khalil Macking your thumb the other direction. That is what Ryan Tannehill, I don't know. I haven't seen Ryan Tannehill. I expect him to be booted up and maybe some crutches. I mean, I don't know. That is my opinion. There's zero sourcing on that. But I don't expect him to be ready to play on Sunday. I will be shocked.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Ryan Tannehill tomorrow because the Titans, because they play on Saturday, the Titans do have practice today on a Tuesday / walkthrough on a Tuesday because Mike Vrabel basically told everybody they really haven't truly practiced like normal in a while. But yeah, the best thing that came out of the Chargers-Titans game was the meme of Ryan Tannehill looking out of the injury tent after hurting his ankle for like the 5th time. Ryan Tannehill hurt his ankle on October 23rd against the Colts. It is now December 20th, and he's hurt it again. And he's also hurt the other ankle too. Like, he is Carson Wentz level 2 sprained ankles from the first month of the Colts season a year ago, trying to fight through it because he's got to. And Ryan Tannehill's a tough son of a you-know-what, but at some point, Dennis Daly and Aaron Brewer, who have combined to allow 16 of the 39 sacks on Titans quarterbacks this year, are going to get Ryan Tannehill significantly hurt.
Well, and if Radens isn't healthy, that's who you're going to have to drag out there. That's the state of the team. It's a tough pill to swallow, man, but that's who's going to have to be out there. You have no choice.
And I think there's one person that's got to be better because of the state of the roster. And it's trying to protect that guy. Actually, you know what? But based off of Mike Vrabel, there are 2 people that have to be better when it comes to protecting Ryan Tannehill and what we know is the left side of the offensive line. I'll talk about that, and we'll play some more Mike Vrabel here in a second. But first, let me tell you guys about Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers. They are the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans. Ryan Tannehill might feel like he's been in a car wreck this morning, but if you have been injured in a car wreck or down the road, unfortunately, hopefully it doesn't happen to anybody that we know here watching the show or somebody you know. But if you are injured in a car wreck, you have to know where to go and where to make sure that you get everything you deserve monetarily from that unfortunate event of a car accident. And that is by going to Hughes and Coleman. They are the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans. If you've been injured in a car wreck, call them for a free case consultation. Their phone number is as easy as it gets. 800-800-4600. That's 800-800-4600. They've got the resources and the muscle to go battle and fight against the insurance company to get you what you deserve. They've recovered over $1 billion for their clients across the state of Tennessee and in Kentucky. That's Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers, principal office in Nashville, Tennessee.
It is the Sports powered by BetMGM. Download the app today. Use the promo code ATOZ Sports. That's ATOZ SPORTS. All one word right there on the screen. You can see it. Risk-free bet up to $1,000 for new users. They're the king of sports books. So download the app in your Android or Apple App Store today.
All right, so I think there are 2 guys that I think need to be tasked with keeping Ryan Tannehill as healthy as possible for the rest of this season to try to get this AFC South title. It's the head coach, who he is saying is responsible for the offensive coordinator's play calls.
Mike, you said that you evaluate everything and everyone every week. So what's your evaluation of Todd Dowden's play calling from yesterday?
Like probably like our entire team's effort, not good enough to win. I'm responsible for every call that goes in, whether it gets executed or, it's a good call or a bad call. You have to, look and see times we got into a flow and a rhythm. Just really, really always curious about play calling.
Mike Vrabel just said he's responsible for every play call that goes out there. And Todd Downing, again, my official take here is that Todd Downing and Mike Vrabel have to be better when it comes to protecting Ryan Tannehill's health. That if Dennis Daly is a liability, if Aaron Brewer's undersized 6'1", 285, 95-pound frame is a liability on the left side, play calling is the really only way that they can help protect Ryan Tannehill's immobility with his current ankle injuries. And, the Mike Vrabel comment right there is pretty interesting. What were your thoughts there?
It's just a leader taking leadership responsibility, and so I look at it as, well, I want to play this. I want to play it right at the beginning, because listen to his reaction initially after the question is asked. That is the funny part of it, because it's like oh God, another Downing question.
Like you said that you evaluate everything and everyone every week. So what's your evaluation of Todd Downing's play calling from yesterday?
Like probably like our entire team's effort, not good enough to win.
The shoulder shrugs of, and then what did he do? He diverted the question to the team instead of one individual, like he notoriously does, and that's his MO, which I don't disagree with that. As the leader of the football team, and Austin, he's now even more the leader of the football team because John Robinson's ass is fired, right? There is nobody else. Amy Adams-Strunk, who won't go and talk, that's not the leader of the football team. Mike Vrabel is the sole leader of the football team. So when he answers the way that he does, it's not surprising that he's taking responsibility for every single facet. But that's what presidents, CEOs, head coaches, that's what general managers, that's what they should do. That is what their responsibility is, because that's the trickle down. It's not a we fault. It is a me, because I'm responsible for Todd Downing, who's responsible for the play calls to get in, who's responsible for Ryan Tannehill, who's responsible for the protection of Ryan Tannehill and where we are. So that's why he said what he said.
Yeah, Balthazar Fire says he at least said it wasn't good enough. That's more than what he said before, and continues in saying he usually solely blames the players, right? That wasn't he had an opportunity to, the execution wasn't their line. And the execution aspect of play calling is important, and I don't want to discredit that, because Mike Vrabel also said something yesterday about play calling, is that he didn't say play calling is overrated, but play calling and execution do go hand in hand, and overall, generally, broadly, vaguely, yes, but there are situations where the Titans play calling has put their players in bad situations. And I think about Sunday against the Chargers, where it was 3rd and 9 at the 24-yard line in a 7-7 tied football game in the fourth quarter. You're in field goal range, and you've got to put your players in the best situation to succeed. And having a 5-step full drop back when Dennis Daly's at left tackle and Ryan Tannehill's playing with his injured ankle for the 4th time is not the right call to put your players in the best spot to succeed.
I'm going to ask you a question on that, though, and you're not going to be able to answer it because it's hindsight's 2020.
Sure.
But at 3rd and 9, if they just handed the ball off and got 3rd and 8 and a 1-yard gain and Derrick Henry got stonewalled, I just feel you would have been like, they're not even trying, right? Like, so we talked about this yesterday. Todd Downing went for it on 3rd and 9. Now, it ended up biting him in the you-know-what. It did. It didn't work. But if he would have just sat up and run the ball and it gotten stonewalled, it's 3rd and 8, and they kick a field goal, I think there's criticism for him to say they're not actually trying to go win.
So
they're
I
just
think
playing
you
for
have
a
to,
field goal.
But we have to understand what the offense is, right? Like you have to, we have to be smart and realistic about it.
But you're going to have to play the game.
Exactly.
Regardless, you're going to have to throw the football, Austin. You cannot run your way to a Super Bowl.
That
We've
is
been saying that for years.
that is a fair question for you to pose to me. And again, like we were not on, I was not on the game day shows. You and Sam did that. You can ask my wife. I was sitting on the couch and I had said, I talk out loud during games. You sat next to me at the mainstay for years as I was doing that. I talk out loud. On 3rd and 9, I said, you can't lose yards. You cannot lose yards. Zero.
Yeah, you can say that after you lose
no,
yards.
No, before the snap, Zach. I'm saying again, before the snap, you go into 3rd and 9. You understand that Aaron Brewer and Dennis Daly are your left guard and left tackle. Ryan Tannehill's struggling to move. There is no Traylon Burks or playmaker on the outside. There's also no Dontrell Hilliard available to you. So what do you have to do? You're in field goal range. It's 7-7. Your defense has not allowed points since the Chargers' first drive of the game 2 hours ago and against Justin Herbert. So what do? You've got to get points. You understand this is a spot where points are at a premium, and the only way you don't get points, 2 ways, a turnover or accepting a sack. And those are 2 things you cannot do at 3rd and 9 on the 24-yard line in that situation. Football is situational. We know that. Mike Vrabel knows that. He's talked about it all the time. So you have to judge each situation differently. And you cannot lose.
I know it's hindsight. But I sit here and I feel like you'd criticize because they ran the football and only got a yard.
I criticize that entire situation because the Tennessee Titans.
Well, then they should just give up. They should just only run the football. If you're going to sit there and they should only do what they need that we know sometimes works, which is running the football, because throwing the football rarely works.
But what do they do?
Then that's kind of what you're doing. You're saying,
look, this is a bigger conversation because it goes into their offensive philosophy.
Well, yes, and no, I'll sit here. The love of the show goes to Greg because the Titans, as long as Derrick Henry is on their football team, Greg is correct. Greg is absolutely correct moving forward. Derrick Henry needs to be a complement, not a focus. That has got to be the evolution of 22. And the only way that that's going to happen is surrounding him with better players on the offensive side of the football. They have not done that very well. But as for the rest of Derrick Henry's Titans career, he needs to stop being a focus and start being a complement. So, Greg, you're getting the love of the show because I believe that to be true.
Unless you're playing a bottom 5 run defense like you were against the Chargers.
Right, but you have the luxury to adapt there. You don't have the luxury to adapt with the way you're structured now.
Again, this is where these situations happening. Andre gives Sam some more lunch money. At some point, me, Sam, you, and maybe Jack are going to go to lunch. But Andre says downing doesn't make sense. He'll pass that situation on 3rd down and 9 from the 24-yard line in field goal range, but run on 3rd and 12 down by 3 in his own end, right? And there's not a consistency there.
Well, 3rd and 12 and 3rd and 9 are different, so you have to understand that.
But you also have
the percentages change. Let's talk about football, though. Football 101. The percentages change when you're under 10 yards or you're over 10 yards. That is a difference. So, there's a separation there.
Yeah, but again, understanding the roster, understanding what this offense is incapable of doing, you cannot lose yards in field goal range.
But you also have to try. The only way that you're going to – look, it was not a good decision. It failed. I fully see that. We saw it. We admit it. But if you don't try, you're never – the likeliness of Derrick Henry getting – on 3rd and 9 yards is a lower percentage. It just is, correct? Doesn't mean he can't do it.
And Zach, I'm not saying that the Titans should have run the football on 3rd and 9 from the 24 like that. I think that would have been an option that maybe could have led them to Randy Bullock making a 40-yard field goal instead of missing a 51-yard
sacrificing the drive for points.
So, but it's points. Like you haven't, again, it's 7-7.
That's what you're doing if you run on that situation.
You're trying to score. You're trying to get points and take a lead in the 4th quarter.
It can be justified. Anything can be justified. Dropping back can be justified.
I think the 5-step drop was the problem. It was a longer, slower developing pass concept.
That's the
that
only way you're getting 9 yards, Austin. You can't get 9 yards on a 3-step drop to expect guys to break tackles. Nobody can break tackles on the offense. They're inadequate.
I'm with John. I'm saying no yards is a positive in that situation.
And John, I know you're both doing hindsight. I
No, I'm
prefaced
not.
this. Of
I'm
course
not.
you're doing hindsight.
I'm not. Like, you understand. Everybody understands in the huddle, right? There's like, can't take a sack, right? Like, Todd Downing or Mike Vrabel, whoever is the last person in Ryan Tannehill's ear on 3rd and 9 from the 24-yard line. One thing you can't do: don't take a sack. Don't fumble the football. You know that. You know you're in field goal range in a tie game where points are at a premium, and they wasted
way to get the first down. He chose to try to get the first down. He failed, but that was his decision.
And again,
didn't do anything else, but he tried to get the first down. You have to understand his way of thinking.
I get that, but
it's justified. It should make you feel better that was the action. It did not work out. It was a negative play. It cost them possibly 3 points. But he doesn't have the players to draw up 3-step drops to get the ball into Robert Woods' hands on a slant, because it's going to not get a first down.
And Jared says game situation awareness. We knew losing yards, it was an unforgivable in that moment. And that's my biggest knock on Todd Downing over the last 2 years that he has been the play caller, is that his game situational awareness is very lackluster.
Okay, this goes right into the question. Is it Mike Vrabel's responsibility on that play call? If you're going to attack Todd Downing, your ass better attack Mike Vrabel, because Vrabel sat there and we just heard him and said, every single Titans play call is Mike Vrabel's responsibility.
Yep.
So
okay.
Are you getting mad at the right person or the wrong person?
I will. That's I'm glad you brought this up, Zach. So I will answer that question, but first tell everybody about Wilson County Hyundai.
Yeah, Wilson County Hyundai is where you need to go to get your next ride. That's wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Palisade, the Sonata, the Elantra, the Santa Fe, the Tucson, fuel-efficient vehicles. That's what they have at Wilson County Hyundai. And man, they will hook you up. Look, if you're thinking about getting a new vehicle, getting a new car, getting a new SUV, the holidays are right around. To start 2023, man, if you could be in a brand new Palisade with all the bells and whistles, 3rd row seating for your family, that is hooking you up. Or the Ioniq, which is battery powered, to combat the fuel. You charge that bad boy up and you're out of Dodge. I mean, that's what it is. Quick trip down I-40 exit 236. Visit their inventory and look online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
Also, download the BetMGM app. Use our code ATOZ Sports. You get a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000. I said it earlier in the show. I'll say it again. I have hit the Austin Hooper over receiving yards prop 5 straight weeks, unlocking me some money on the BetMGM app, just like you can when you sign up with BetMGM using our code ATOZ Sports, and you get a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000. That's after your first deposit when you sign up for the BetMGM app using code ATOZ Sports. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification, eligible requirements. Rewards issued at knowledgeable for bets credit. For bets expire 7 days. For problem game support, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. The question that Zach has posed here: do you buy or sell that Mike Vrabel is responsible for every Titans play call? We'll play the video clip from yesterday's press conference again.
Mike, you said that you evaluate everything and everyone every week. So what's your evaluation of Todd Downing's play calling from yesterday?
Probably like our entire team's effort, not good enough to win. I'm responsible for every call that goes in, whether it gets executed or it's a good call or a bad call. You have to, look and see times we got into a flow and a rhythm. Just really, really always curious about play calling.
Well, and I couldn't quite catch Nicky's follow-up there that led to Vrabel saying, I'm responsible for every play call. So buying or selling that. So Zach, you specifically asked me, is it Mike Vrabel that I should also be upset with on the 3rd and 9 at the 24-yard line? play call that led to Tannehill getting sacked because Dennis Daly couldn't get his hands on the edge rusher after having chip help. I mean, yeah, I think Mike Vrabel, I buy what Mike Vrabel's saying there because the head coach should have veto power on play calls. Now, it's about the play general concept, not like the specific play that's being called, but the run versus pass or deep drop versus quick throw. Those type of things is what I think Mike Vrabel needs to have veto power over. Because if Todd Downing calls in a play that you know is going to require extra protection from a chip of a tight end and a deeper drop from your quarterback who's hurt, then Mike Vrabel should say, no, can't take a sack. Don't put our guys in a spot to take a sack to lose field goal range. That is where I think Mike Vrabel should have some responsibility for those play calling.
So I'm going to go to the chat and I'm going to state my answer. Steven's buying, Grim Jim is buying, selling from Button, big sell from Pistol. Noah says buy. And Jake says, hell no, he's just covering. Might override one or two. And Jake, I'm going to come back to your comment because I kind of tend to lean more towards that. Sell, it's coach speak. Couple of Zach's is correct. I don't know what you were talking about before, but Jared says yes, he should have situational awareness too. So, I mean, I think so. Buy or sell. I think conceptually you buy it because he's the head coach, but logistically you sell it. Austin, what if he's coaching up the defense from a play that happened that he saw earlier? And then that 3rd and 9, he's talking to Bud Dupree on where to get his hands. He's not logistically responsible for every single solitary play. Like, that I am selling. Todd Downing, and here's another thing. In managing, that's how you develop companies. That's how you develop teams. That's how you develop structures. You at one point you have to allow them to do their job. I don't think Mike Vrabel. I think he allows Todd Downing. I think this may be a fault, but I think he allows Todd Downing to do his job. I think he allows him to call the plays. I think Mike Vrabel, as a head coach, you have a lot on your plate, especially now that your general manager is fired. You got to start figuring out a lot of different things and in game. So I'm selling this because logistically, I don't think that Mike Vrabel is a micromanager. And so I don't think in that situation, because look, if I'm Todd Downing, just like we've been talking about, if I'm Todd Downing in the headset, calling a play to say, let's go get this first down. It's 3rd and 9. You're going to have Robert Woods on a deep out. Whatever was said, I don't know. But that can be justified for Mike Vrabel to not say, nope, let's not go for the first down. Let's get in I formation, run the football, and kick a field goal. Right? Like that's why I'm selling this. Conceptually, yes, he is responsible for everything that goes on because he's the head coach. But logistically, it's a sell for me.
But where you said, Todd Downing has to call the plays because what if Mike Vrabel's talking to Bud Dupree about his hands placement? I think the head coach should be more involved in the play calling than being involved in a player's hand placement. Like talking to Bud Dupree is not
coach.
Mike Vrabel.
He's Mike Vrabel.
Yes,
Austin, you're smarter than that. He's Mike Vrabel.
No,
he's not going to sit here and be more analytical. If he sees something of hand placement, he's going to walk his happy ass over to Tierra Tart when he's playing and say, look, get here.
Yeah, but not
That's
on
how
3rd and 9 in the fourth quarter. Not on 3rd and 9 in the fourth quarter. On 3rd and 9 in the fourth quarter, every head coach is dialed in to what that play call is going to be.
But you also, again, I gave 2 examples. I didn't go all in.
It's the situation, Zach. It's the situation. If it's 3rd and 9 in the first quarter, sure. It's 3rd and 9 in the fourth quarter in a 7-7 football game when you've lost 3 games in a row and you're on the road and your quarterback is hurt and your left tackle has given up the most pressures of any left tackle in the sport and also given up, at that point, 11 sacks on the season, about to be his 12th sack on the season. It is that situation that the head coach has to be dialed in on that situation, not Bud Dupree's hand placement, that they can.
But he also has to let his coaches coach.
Yes, I agree. But
So he let his coaches coach in that
there's
situation.
also a collaborative, and Mike Vrabel's talked about this before. Sometimes play calling is a collaborative effort. On
From what I know, that's you think in that situation that he's just vetoing and overriding stuff.
No,
that's not how it works, Austin.
Again,
I'll just tell you that.
I think
it's
Zach,
just not how it works.
No,
you think like in a great realm. Oh yes, let's make sure that the head coach, a defensive head coach, is involved in every single solitary offensive play call. Oh, conceptually, that sounds great. That's not how it works, Austin. I'll just tell you that. And I know that.
But Mike Vrabel, in his ear, knows exactly what play is being called. And he is a part of that conversation every snap on what's going through Todd Downing's headset, another offensive coaching staff that Downing might be chatting with about each situation. Mike Vrabel hears all of that and should have the ability to say, let's do something quicker. Let's throw the ball. Let's go for the first down, but do something quicker.
It's 3rd and 9. You can't. I don't know how I can yell little louder that you can't do something quick on 3rd and 9 and go for the first down. Can you admit that? The Titans don't have players to do something quick and get a first down.
But Zach, they don't. No. But Zach, you're missing the point.
Can you admit that though? So stop saying go for something quick and go for the first down. The Titans offense can't do that.
Zach, we have to understand that this Titans offense was not in a spot where they could lose yards. That the biggest problem is that they missed a field goal because of a loss of 9 yards on the sack in a tie game. You have to protect against
either or, Austin. A decision was made to go for the first down. So you have to have a longer step drop back and longer routes to get 9 yards, because you don't have A.J. Brown on the field to throw a 3-yard slant and it to go for 15.
I'm not asking.
That's the point.
Can
you admit that though? You have to take that out of your head, because a quick little out is not going to get you 9.
I want points. The Titans offense needs points.
Right. You can disagree with that. I've never argued that. But Todd Downing chose to go for the first down.
And that was...
I don't get upset at an offensive coordinator trying to go for a first down. That's why I don't kill him for this.
I think, Zach, that...
And Jared, wrong. Nobody's breaking a tackle. Nobody. Nobody is the only guy that's breaking a tackle is Derrick Henry, and that's got to be the perfect pass play for Derrick Henry, where he can actually catch it, turn, and go upfield and have blockers. So, Jared, wrong. Nobody's breaking a tackle.
Sheila, run and kick a field goal was the correct call, period. Austin's correct. Situational football. Greg says one thing Austin is right on. If they did a short route, it would essentially be a run play and no loss of yards. Again, you know what you absolutely cannot afford to have happen is a turnover or a sack. That is the problem. And the Titans put the worst left tackle in pro football this year in a spot to protect an injured, immobile quarterback on 3rd and 9 when Khalil Mack, Kyle Van Noy, and all the other Chargers edge rushers are going, pin those earbacks and get out.
They went for the first down.
And in this situation, Zach,
they went for it. It was a decision.
And I'm not saying don't go for the 3rd 9. I'm saying protect your players by calling a play they can execute without having
it's
a
an
sack
either or, though. The only way you're going for 3rd and 9 is with deeper routes. You could have said, look, we're just going to throw a short 2-yard route. You're going to kick a field goal. It would have been the same as running Derrick Henry.
You know what I would have liked to do?
They didn't do that, though.
You know what I
went for the first down.
You know what it would have been a better decision is put Chig on the sideline and against a shorter player and do a shotgun snap. Tannehill takes one step, lofts it up in the air to have Chig go fight for a jump ball. It's either, and Tannehill knows, don't throw it inside. Either get it where only Chig can, or have it go out of bounds. So you're kicking up.
You can play
40-yard
armchair
field goal.
quarterback on Tuesday all you want, and that's what you're doing.
Zach,
but that's what you're doing. You're
No.
playing armchair quarterback
Zach,
on Tuesday.
That's the easy way for you to talk about
the facts. I literally all I've stated is facts.
And
Todd Downing had to make a decision. He didn't make the right one, but at least I hope you understand what he was trying to do. He was trying to get the first down.
And I'm saying with the 11 players on the football field that include Dennis Daly, Aaron Brewer, and an injured Ryan Tannehill, it was the wrong decision.
Okay, you can say that.
Yes.
I didn't disagree with that. It obviously was the wrong decision. It cost him possibly 3 points.
Yes.
But it's hindsight is so easy to go back.
But again, like everybody who watches football on TV has man, you can't take a sack here. Like how many times has everybody's dad
went for the first down? I mean, now we're going in circles. Let's go to trivia.
All right, let's get to Tuesday sports trivia. We've got 5 questions coming up for Tuesday sports trivia, 4 sports, 1 non-sports. But first, let me tell you guys all about our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to make sure you know who to go to and who you can trust to get yourself back to health. And they've got the specialists who do know how to deal and help you with any type of injury you could possibly think of or have happen when it comes to injuries that happen in life or injuries that happen when you're playing rec sports or high school sports, middle school sports, whatever it is, son or daughter gets hurt, go to the Bone and Joint Institute to make sure that they get the best care possible. boneandjointtn.org.
Izzy Sports, promo code BetMGM. You got the right there. You can download the app, use the promo code ATOZ Sports, get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 for new users. Let's get to it.
Tuesday sports trivia here on the show. I was off last Tuesday. Zach, how did trivia go last week with you and Jack?
We went 3-2. One was, and you probably this is a tough one. Who was second in dunks in the NBA in 2002? I think it was. Yeah.
Who was second and I don't have the chat open, so I can answer this fairly. Who was second in the NBA in dunks in 2002? So that was pre-Dwight Howard. It could have been like a Kevin Garnett, Minnesota T-Wolves.
So we guessed Kenyon Martin, which
Kmart, aisle 5.
Paul Gasol, rookie year in Memphis.
Oh, wow.
So got backdoored there. That was, I think, our
pow.
Right. All right. First up, NFL. Who is the first NFL quarterback to pass for over 400 yards in 3 consecutive games?
I think we've had this one when you were off one week.
Okay. Which of these gentlemen called radio play-by-play for the Oklahoma Sooners football team? Have you had this one?
Not to my knowledge.
Which of these gentlemen called radio play-by-play for the Oklahoma Sooners football team? Frank Gifford and Jim Nantz, Al Michaels and Chris Schneckel, Walter Cronkite and Kurt Gowdy, Chris Berman and Keith Jackson.
It was not Berman and Jackson because those 2 guys are play-by-play guys and they wouldn't have been together, right? Because this is a play-by-play color commentary combo.
Yeah. Which of these gentlemen called radio play-by-play for the Oklahoma Sooners football team? Frank Gifford and Jim Nantz, Al Michaels, Chris Schneckel, Walter Cronkite and Kurt Gowdy, or Chris Berman and Keith Jackson?
What was the first one again? Was that the Frank Gifford one?
Frank Gifford and Jim Nantz.
I think it's that one. What do you think?
Like Al Michaels has done every broadcast I feel like ever made. So mine's between the Frank Gifford and Al Michaels. but I do not know.
Let's go with the Gifford. Final A to Z.
Walter Cronkite and Kurt Gowdy called play-by-play for the Oklahoma Sooners football team. 1937. Gowdy handled the task in 1945. So they weren't together. They were separate, but both did it.
All right. 0-1. That was tough. Okay.
Damn, this is another tough one. It seems like the all-time leader in hits should always be pictured with a bat. On which of these Topps cards is Pete Rose not shown holding a bat? God, this is impossible. 1966 Topps, 1976 Topps, 1971 Topps, or 1975 Topps? So which one?
66, 71, 75, 76?
66, 76, 71, 75. 66, 76, 71, or 75.
Scott says 75. David and Mr. HWTF say 76. Was he a rookie in 66?
Yeah, I was thinking the young old thing too.
Oh, Brad says 71 because he was sliding into third. That's a lot. Oh, and then Mark, 71 because it would have shown him sliding into Ray Fosse.
That's right. I think that's the right answer.
71?
I mean, it's backed up. It's all we have.
David then says 76, lock it in. We got two people that say the 71 was the slide. David's pretty adamant. David Allen, who's given us Christmas cards before, saying 76 is correct. Do we go with our guy, David Allen?
I mean, I have no idea. The 70s baseball is
Let's
not
go.
mine.
Let's go with our guy, David Allen, and go 1976 final A to Z.
$1976.
Woof.
Wearing some cool flip down sunglasses under his hat with sideburns.
David says he's a baseball card collector. All right, 1-1.
To the pitch. This football legend was in his heyday with Manchester United during the 1960s. He's also known as much for his football skills as his love of women, partying, and alcohol. Who is this legend? David Beckham, which that's not it. Bobby Charlton, Dennis Law, or George Best. So,
David Beckham's the only name I know.
Yeah, well, and David Beckham is not 1960s. Yeah. So Bobby Charlton, Dennis Law, or George Best. We need somebody that, I mean, there's culture in there. So somebody knows one of those three guys who was maybe a womanizer,
We've
partier.
Got Preston and David coming in quickly with George Best. And Jose, George Best, 98% sure. Elks, who I believe is Big Ten Jeff, saying George Best, lock it in. So I think we go George Best final A to Z. Everybody's saying George Best.
After Best left United, he played for several other clubs, but never against at the highest level. Died in London in 2005 at the age of 59. George Best.
All right, we're 2-1 so far today. Last sports question coming up.
Which college player was the first to ever rush for 20 touchdowns and pass for 30 touchdowns in one season?
We had this one recently because the answer was, I believe it was Tebow. McNair's an option, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because
It
it's
is
not
Tim
McNair.
Tebow.
Yeah, so we had that one.
Man, we've done so many trivia. We're doing the same ones. Well, then we're gonna have to go with back to I guess baseball cards. I think we should maybe be able to get this.
Okay.
In 1963, Top showed two Hall of Famers together in their classic Pride of the NL card. Which two were they? 1963, two Hall of Famers, Pride of the NL. So played in the National League. Hank Aaron and Willie Mays and Stan Musial, Hank Aaron and Stan Musial, or Roberto Clemente and Duke Schneider. Now, Hank Aaron played for the Braves. There's the NL. Willie Mays is also NL with the Giants. Roberto Clemente played for the Pirates. What team did Stan Musial and
Cardinals.
Duke Schneider play for?
Cardinals was Musial.
So we're all NL. I was trying to see if we could eliminate somebody. Hank Aaron and Willie Mays have been a damn good card.
Hank. And I think it's Hank and Willie. That's the most popular answer from the chat is Hank Aaron Willie Mays. Preston says Snyder played for the Dodgers.
Okay, so let's eliminate that one.
I think we go Hank and Willie because that was, Hank Aaron was in his prime. I think in Stan Musial, yeah. Let's go Hank and Willie.
You'll lock that in?
Final A to Z.
Willie is correct.
Clemente, right?
Musial is the other one.
Dang.
Surpassed 3,000 hits by 1963, and the Say Hey Kid was at the height of his Hall of Fame career.
Dang it. 2-2. We need our non-sports one to come through strong.
All right, we go to UFO. We go to extraterrestrial. What explanation was offered to explain a UFO sighting near Kyoto, Japan in 1235? What explanation was offered to explain a UFO sighting near Kyoto, Japan in 1235? Was it a comet, fire-breathing birds, angry gods, or wind blowing the stars about? Back just like yesterday, 1235, Kyoto, Japan. What was the explanation offered to explain a UFO sighting? Comet, fire-breathing birds, angry gods, or wind blowing the stars about? This is a turning point.
Angry birds.
Yeah.
So Jared says comet, and then he came back and said, he actually first said meteor, then he came back and said comet. So that made me think that Jared might actually know this. I think the wind blowing the stars about feels very like early Japan to me. Right? Because it was in Japan.
Yeah,
I don't think the Japanese are as caught up into the angry gods or gods and emotions and reactions as much as like the European countries were at that point. I feel like the wind blowing stars about is
I think
very
that
Japanese.
or fire-breathing birds.
Yeah.
Because fire-breathing, and look, I don't know much about like the Asian culture in that sense, but especially in 1235. But dragons, fire breathing. I feel like that's a big part of that type of culture.
I think the wind blowing stars about is the best.
I think it's fire-breathing birds. Do we want to have a good old-fashioned coin flip?
I mean, do you have a coin?
I usually had my NFL. Let's see what we got here. Hold on.
You got it.
I got it. All right. It's not a coin, but it's this. It's like one of those things where like a selfie stick. I don't even know where it come from, but like you press it and it will take the picture for you. So this is heads. So this is fire breathing birds.
Okay.
And this backside is
wind blowing stars about.
All right. You ready?
Best out of 7. I'm kidding. All right. You go with your fire breathing birds. It's going to be wrong.
Oh, no.
Because it's mine. Because I was right.
On September 24th, 1235, General Yoritsumi and his army observed mysterious globes of light flying loops in the night sky near Kyoto, Japan. The general's advisors told him not to worry. It was merely the wind blowing the stars about.
I mean, that was just perfect. I feel like I had my Japanese logic down. So that's on you.
I'll take full responsibility. I need to study up on 13th century Japanese culture a little bit more.
So you guys went 3-2 last week, right?
Yeah. 2-3.
2-3 today. So that puts us at 21 out of 30 at 70%. Not good. Not good. Not good. Not good.
Got to bounce back.
Got to bounce back.
The good thing about this is now that we're doing it 5 at a time instead of 10, we can chop away. We get a 5er. That's huge.
Big. Yes, absolutely. So, all right, guys, great show here on this Tuesday. The Titans do practice today. So Sam Phelan will be at St. Thomas Sports Park for that coverage. Maybe we'll find out more injury status on quarterback Ryan Tannehill. So make sure you stick with our social media, especially on YouTube and Facebook. Like the show before you go on both of those platforms, YouTube and Facebook. And if you're not subscribed already to our YouTube channel, absolutely do so to get all of our content that we put out there from Titans practice, live shows, podcasts, and more right there. So like the show before you go and subscribe on YouTube, and we'll talk to you guys Wednesday morning. Appreciate it as always.